Alright, how's it going, guys? We had another live stream today, finally. And, got pitch blend moved down here. I had so much of it, I had to put it into a, mass storage because we filled up on it. Because I had brought up the pitch blend that we had already mined up and down in the mines. I do have more uraninite I need to bring up for that, which is what it's processing now. But there is the rest of our pitch blend. It's running through here in this centrifuge, which is giving us 3 uraninite, a thorium, and a lead. So the lead has gotten upgraded just in case. The thorium, we're up to 391 of it. And uraninite has gotten an updated barrel as well, because we're going to have tons of that coming in now. So there's our uraninite for now. It won't be there for long, because I did start on getting the layout over here done for our uranium processing. This is the basic idea of what we're going for. We're not working on that today, but I figured I might as well, while I'm here, get these out of my inventory that I got made today, because I'm still going to be using the diesel engines for the mixers, even though we have electric coming in for our motors. We also have 3 smelters, and they're going to be ran off of heaters. I'm just going to throw these into this box over here for right now. We have an electrolyzer for that as well. And then we have transformers to hook everything up. I am going to have to get, I didn't think about it, I need a MV transformer and at least one LV transformer that I need to get made as well. But we'll be working on this probably next week. I've also decided that we're going to change this. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this pipe here, which is running off of our honey here, which it looks like we just got a little bit more. Actually, that's the wrong one. The honey goes in the back, if I remember correctly, but we just are not getting enough honey. We have our diesel that we're using currently that we could be making to nitro diesel, and we're not able to do so because we just don't have enough coming through of our honey. So I'm going to change this pipe right here. I'll break all this out of here and just change it over to water. Holy crap, we got a heck of a storm coming in. I'm going to do that later. You guys don't need to see me go through that crap. But we're just going to change it over to water for right now, because we have 30,000 flour. We've got 30,000 grass. We've got an entire box full of stuff down there, and it's just not getting used. And then we still have tons of sugar cane we could be using as well, but I just don't have any dynamite. I've gotten a whole 70 dynamite, so I can't go do any more mining. Well, I can, but I prefer to use that for their stuff. I did get a Geiger counter made today, which is pretty easy to make. I had to make a cell capsule container mold to make these, which is luckily a low heat one. And then I also had to make a regular cell one, but it's just some aluminum screws, aluminum plates, and a T1 circuit. I had to make 2 of those, one for the handheld that I have here, and then the other one was used for making this Geiger counter here that is going to help us to figure out what we need as far as heat. And where are my... There they are. And I also, the reason why I had to make the cell thing was so I could make neutron reflector rods, which are just beryllium rods. We're going to use these to reflect the neutrons back to their source, boosting the reaction. We're going to play around with a few different designs here. Thorium we can use these on. Cobalt 60 we cannot, because Cobalt 60, if we look at fuel rod, any of these that are uranium, thorium, plutonium, any of those, you'll see where it says self and emission. The emission means that it puts neutrons off to another source, and 4 is neutrons that go to itself. Well, Cobalt 60 is the only one, there it is, that has no emission. So Cobalt 60 is basically like, kind of like an RTG, really, where you just put it in there and it works. Now, the one that we're going to be doing, at least starting out, is going to be Coolant, which is what we're going to be working on here in a few minutes. And most of them have self of 8. And that's what the coolant that we're going to be doing is. No, industrial coolant is what we're using. It's going to be 32. We could use lithium chloride, which would give us 40. And we could do the molten thorium salt, but that one's a little different. We might play around with that later. But basically for Cobalt 60, you want to use coolant, so you get the 32 out. So that just means that it's going to have neutrons that are naturally onto that rod. So you're going to have 32 neutrons basically coming off of that rod itself. That's going to be heating itself up, and that's what the cooling is going to be needed for. So if we fill one of these quad with Cobalt 60, it should be 32 times 4. So that'd be 128. So we should, if I'm thinking this correctly, if we look at the heat exchanger, which I'm going to go ahead and make this heat exchanger right here, which is a tungsten one, 100% efficient, and it's going to output 128 heat units a tick. And that should be how much heat we have transferred into the coolant that has to run through to make that. So that should be enough for one quad core. And the thing about this is that we can run all 4 of these side by side or separately, does not matter, because they do not do anything. So these reflectors will not do anything for the Cobalt 60 because it doesn't put anything off to adjacents. But because that does 128 heat units, that means we can run 128. It's probably going to be, yeah, steel. So that's going to make us 256 steam. And then if we look at the steam turbine, 256. Is there one that gives exactly that? Not really. I just didn't want to have to do the math, but 192 would give us 64. So we're going to be putting out roughly 70 RU, maybe 80 RU. So we'll be making low-level MD with one of these with Cobalt 60, and then we'll do thorium for the other one, is what I'm planning to start with. But before we can do that, we need to get our injector set up. So I think we're going to set it up here. We have our injector right here, which needs energy in the back. Now, we can't do this directly onto there, but we can put it out here. And I made a bunch of these up, so we'll stick one of those on there. The water is going to go in the top, and I think it's coming out the bottom. Let's actually look. I should have looked before I put this thing down. Okay, injector. Fluids in top automatic, fluid out bottom automatic. So yeah, our fluid's going to come out down here, and that's going to go to a tank. And if we look at coolant, the injection is lapis or lazurite with distilled water. And that's why we're putting it here, is because the we have this pipe right here, which is our distilled water line. So I'm going to see if I have, there's some rubber ones. So we're going to run 1, 2, and then we're going to have to do, oh, that's actually going to make that a little bit of a pain in the butt. No, because we can do it over here on this side. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We need 7 of these. So I'm going to go blue them up. And then I'm not worried about coloring the ones that are coming out. I've already got the main tank valve for our tank made. And we've got the walls right here. So we're going to put in a coolant tank, which I will probably throw it down in the sub-basement. So give me a minute to get this painted up, and I'll throw the tank together real quick, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I decided to throw the tank right here. The valve in here, going to the bottom, and there we go. We have ourselves a tank. And if we go upstairs, that tank is directly below our coolant pipe that I have here. So there we go, that takes care of that. And then we can run this, and I did notice while we were down there that there's actually a coolant pipe running right there. So I have the option of either running this off of here, or I could actually come through right here. And I think that's what we're going to do. Is we're just going to put this here and then straight up over the top and into there, and then we don't have to have it running through there, and it'll save us a pipe. Alright, now put that back on there. We have our distilled water in there. How close is... That's not close enough. Good. I'm just deciding what I wanted to use for putting the lapis in. And I'm going to use this reinforced chest. Now, believe it or not, I haven't mined any lapis at all. So the lapis we're using is all what we have gotten from smalls that we ended up running through here once we got our sifter done. There is a lot of actual lapis gems downstairs. If I need more, I can always grab those, but I think we'll be fine with this, because that should be 100 and some. Now, that's a 1X cable, but this is going to call for 64. So therefore, that's going to burn that up. So we need a 2X cable because it's going to call for 65, because it needs one for the loss. So I'm actually going to throw this copper one in here for the moment, just so we can get it running. There we go. Our coolant's being made. If I made a bigger pipe, we could get it out of there quicker, but we're not really in a hurry to get it made, because we're not going to be making it all the time. We just need to get a load of it made up and ready for when we need it. And we've got 32 buckets of coolant already. Yeah, we got 191 lapis down here if we need more. Every one lapis is a bucket. So since I did 171, that's 171 buckets of coolant. So that's going to be plenty. I may also, just to get rid of them, grab the lazurite we have here. There's only 15. but we can use that as well to make our coolant, because we can use lapis lazurite, and we can use sodalite. And sodalite has very little use, so let's go ahead and take that as well. That'll give us another 30 buckets. And there's no difference in the amount you get out or the amount needed to do it, so we'll just throw all of that in there and let it run through and just make us up a bunch of coolant. I'm going to try to get on here again maybe Friday morning, and we're going to try to get this redone with a lower, probably going to make, because this is a THC burning box, probably going to make another one of these chromium ones and see if we can get this tungsten steel maker going, because the only thing that I'm really missing for our uranium processing over there is a shredder, because we're going to need that for a couple different things. And so I want to get the multi-block shredder made. And we have everything we need but a whole lot of tungsten steel. So rather than doing that manually, I want to get a auto process made. I think we're going to throw it right over here and get rid of this. Leave this one here, just make a new THC crucible and go from there. But I wanted to get that made today. I did make up a whole bunch of our empty reactor rods. So next time we're actually going to take a look at getting the first reactor up and made. I'm going to go ahead and in the next stream make that tungsten heat exchanger and steel boiler. And then another thing that I'm going to work on, that biomass thing, which also means that we need to get rid of our ethanol over here, because once I start making the fermenter run on water, we're going to have a lot more ethanol, and we're already up to 1 million buckets of ethanol in there. So I'm going to make us a way of getting rid of that. I was thinking about running it into the diesel pipe that we use. This one here, because this is a nano pipe, and it's only got petrol, fuel, diesel, and kerosene right now. So we could run it in here as well. But I'm thinking that to help with our electric, I'm going to set up a diesel engine over here that's just going to run off of that ethanol. So I think we're going to set up another power plant, basically knock this wall back a little bit, put it right here, and make probably maybe EV or maybe HV, MV or HV from that. I'm not sure which, but we'll get into that in the next few videos. And our cobalt is slowly getting done and running again, which we are up to 94 of those. So I will see you guys next time when we start on setting up our first Cobalt-60 reactor, and then we'll have to try out our thorium reactor, and then I should have everything made, and we can set up the uraninite processing to uranium-238 and 235, and then we can start playing around with those rods, maybe mixing 238 and thorium first, and then getting into 235 and see what we can do with that. I'm not a big one on running critical reactors, and I'm not really interested in making ass tons of power, so I'm probably not going to try to breed this. I may try to set up a simple breeder, but I'm not real sure yet if I want to do that or not. I'm not going to breed the thorium. I think I'm going to burn the thorium. But maybe we can set up one for 238 breeding. With 235. See, this one is a critical fuel, which means it's going to get nasty. And I think that's critical no matter what. I like to run the more safe reactor designs. But we'll have to look at that. We'll have to deal with turning it on and off to make sure that it doesn't run. Because critical basically, oh, if we run coolant, it's not critical. Okay. So if we run lithium chloride, actually looks pretty good for that. If we run one of the other ones, it's going to be critical, which means we're going to have to turn it on and off, or it will basically just keep feeding itself so much that it ends up blowing up. It's going to go bigger and bigger, kind of like a MOX reactor, where the hotter it gets, the more it puts out. It's going to be similar to that, but I don't think it's quite the same. I'm not a nuclear physicist, so it's all just kind of throwing things at the wall and see what sticks. We may be able to use 235 with the reflectors too. That may give us a lot of power. But I want to start simple. Run some Cobalt-60, some thorium, some regular 238. Maybe mix some 238 and thorium together, see what we can get out of that. And then what we might end up doing is see about making one of these where we put a 235 in the center, put 238s around that, and then reflectors out around the corner. So we'd be using 4 of these, but these 4 chambers really wouldn't get used. We'd only be using the 3x3 there. We could try that and see what it does. That's kind of the fun thing with reactors, is just trying different patterns, see what you can come up with. But we'll probably want to make the large heat exchanger before we get into too much of that craziness. And that takes a lot of tungsten to do. So I may actually have to go down and run some more of our, or mine up some more of our tungsten vein down there, and this Enderman is bugging the hell out of me. I had one bomb dive me today. I was looking in the centrifuge, and for some reason he popped down off the roof and just smacked me. I was pissed. And it figures he took off, so I can't kick his butt. Oh, and our annealed copper is getting done nicely. We've ran all of the copper through there. It's just finishing up through here. I had to use a bit of that today. But anyways, that is it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed my ramblings. And I will see you next time.